But let's head to, well, the US Democratic presidential candidates, because they are barnstorming South Carolina, of course, ahead of Super Tuesday. The event is really critical for Joe Biden's White House hopes, but recent polling suggests it may not transpire the way the former vice president would like. So for more on this, we're joined by CNN reporter Jason Carroll. Good afternoon to you, Jason. A bit of a chilly one for you, 12 degrees at the moment. What do we know about the voter turnout?
Well, look, we've spoken, we're here in Greenville, South Carolina, the northern part of the state, and we've spoken to the precinct chairman about voter turnout at our location. Earlier this morning, there were lines out in front, people waiting to get in to vote. He says it's been a steady stream of folks coming in to vote. But the big question is, Jane, which candidate will that benefit? And that's still a question that we can't answer at this point. Of course, Biden is hoping that a large turnout will benefit him. And this is really the final stop for him in some political respects, because if he does not do well here in South Carolina, then how does he then convince his donors to keep putting money into his campaign heading into Super Tuesday?
That's it, isn't it? And it's not just him that it's important for this primary in South Carolina. It's a pivotal moment in a long campaign.
Oh, absolutely, without question, Tim. I mean, look, you look at the field of Democratic candidates that are still in this race. You've got a lot of political analysts who are looking at folks like Pete Buttigieg, looking at people like Amy Klobuchar and Elizabeth Warren, and are saying, look, you're not polling like Sanders, you're not polling like Biden. At this point, why don't you drop out? And there doesn't seem to be any indication that any three of those candidates are going to do that before Super Tuesday. And so, once again, just like Biden, these candidates as well, it's make or break for them here in South Carolina.
You've also got Tom Steyer, who's the other billionaire, Michael Bloomberg, not in the race for today. But yeah, Tom Steyer, $17 million on his TV ads alone. But in terms of the critical voting today before Super Tuesday, I mean, it is very critical, isn't it, as you mentioned, for Joe Biden, of course?
Right, and interesting that you mentioned Steyer, because he's outspent everyone here. And if you look at the polling here in the state of South Carolina, I mean, he's up in the top three. I mean, you look at what happened in places like New Hampshire and Iowa. I mean, he didn't even make it on the radar there. And so, look, even if Steyer were to do well here, and by well I mean placing in the top three, you still have to look ahead to Super Tuesday and these big states, 14 states voting there, where he's not polling as well. So does a big win here for him in South Carolina catapult him in some ways into Super Tuesday? Perhaps, but really, this is Biden's race to lose here. This is why so many people are looking at Biden to see how well he does here. If he does not do well here, he really has no hopes of catching Bernie Sanders at this point.
It's been pretty bitter so far, hasn't it, the contest?
Oh, yeah. Oh, Tim, I mean, I don't know if you guys have had a chance to see any of the debates here, but you look at any of the recent debates that have taken place, the Democratic candidates have really gone after each other. And one of the common denominators that I've found, and just talking to voters out here today, just anecdotally getting information from them, the one thing that they say that they want to see more of with these candidates is civility. And that's one thing that seems to be lacking. You know, if you talk to some of the voters here and the way this race has been going on, civility among some of these candidates, it's just been downright nasty.
Well, we wish you all the best for today, and it'll be interesting to see the outcome. CNN reporter Jason Carroll, always a pleasure to have you on Weekend Edition.